Hey guys, it's Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset, and we are live with episode 384. This is a very interesting episode. We're going to get to talk to all of the champions from the Team USA from the recent International Precision Rifle Federation match, the World Championship that just happened in France. So we have a bigger group this week, but it's got all of our winners from the different divisions. So I'll introduce them in just a minute. First, we've got our co-host, Greg Cannon. How's it going tonight?
Good.
All right. And then to introduce all of our people here, we have, I got to go back to the picture where I can see y'all's faces. Peyton Grimes, Coulter Marriott, Rusty Ulmer, and Austin Bushman are here with us. So we're going to go through and introduce all of y'all one at a time. So maybe I'll kind of go through the divisions and let y'all tell us a little bit about how you got into shooting and got to go over there. So we'll start with limited. So our limited division winner, we had Coulter Marriott. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into shooting.
So my name is Coulter Marriott. I'm a home builder here in College Station, Texas. I originally got into shooting long range probably about 2015, 2016, just so that I could become a better hunter and be able to shoot deer from further away, and then just fell in love with the sport and competitions. Started shooting PRS matches, I believe 2019 was my first year, whatever the finale was out there at the Triple C in Texas. And been doing it ever since. I shoot for Team NPA, love it. It's like family, Rusty. And that's it. Started shooting limited about a month before France, picked up a 308 and started shooting again. And I have absolutely loved 308. And I'm so blessed to have been able to, for this opportunity and to be able to shoot a 308 over there, because I had the time of my life. It was great.
That's awesome. It was a good time. I know, I could tell everybody had such a blast over there.
It was good. My limited family was good. Buck and Leon and Matt. I mean, they were awesome. I wish they could all be here right now.
Well, we would have loved to have the whole team on, but it would have been a little overwhelming. All right, now we'll hit the ladies. So we have Peyton Grimes. So for anybody that didn't catch on, they weren't just the top American in each of these divisions. They won the division overall. So there were 26 countries there competing in different divisions. And so Coulter won the limited division for over everyone. Now, just while we're on limited, real quick before we move to women's, how did the other U.S. teammates fare?
They did awesome. We took first through fourth place. And so it was Team USA represented very well. And they were a hit. Everybody loved hanging out with Team USA. It was a lot of fun. And one other little fun fact about limited, for IPRF rules, limited is just like our TAC class in that it's actually 308 or 223. However, 223s are actually outlawed in the country of France. And so the limited class became a 308 class. And so we all shot 308 by default.
So that was all of them. They were all 308. And that was, some of it was a last minute scramble to get guns, I know, for some people that don't normally shoot 308. So it was interesting. So the next division that we had was the ladies division. And we have Peyton Grimes here, who took the win overall for the ladies division. So tell us, I know we had Peyton on just a couple weeks ago, but tell us just real quick about yourself, how you got into shooting, and then tell us how the other ladies fared also.
So I got into competition about 2 years ago, and I had started a few years before that up at Gunworks, just trying to be a better hunter and actually learn how to shoot a rifle. And so Philip Vallejo taught me everything I knew in the beginning, and he asked if I wanted to do competition. So that's how I got into that. And the ladies, they did awesome. We took top 3, and we were all really close. Like after the first day, we were basically all tied, and then that separation came the second day, but we were all up there and did really great.
Yeah, being at home watching, y'all's scores were super tight. Even some of the other scores open too. And it would depend on when we were looking, who had shot how many stages, right? So we would look, at one point it looked like, some of the Americans were way behind, and it was because they hadn't shot their stage, they hadn't shot the same number of stages, and then they'd pop back up. So it was
We didn't even know they had that feature. We didn't even know you could click on their name and see all the stats. We were like, we learned that like at the end of day 2. We were like, really?
That happened around the end of day 2.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was sitting there and I forgot the guy's name off the top of my head, but there was somebody who was doing the same thing as me with a little bit more free time on his hand and was pulling everything into Google Sheets and sharing it so that we could all see that overall match view and know where everybody was at. So that was super, super nice. But then when they added that feature where we can click and see how many stages everyone shot, that was very useful.
It was good. So the next division we had was the senior division, and we have Rusty Ulmer, who took that overall win. So tell us how you got into shooting, and then who else was shooting seniors and how they did.
Well, I've been shooting a rifle since I could walk pretty much, but then for a long time I didn't shoot rifle. I shot archery for a long time, but I started in PRS competition in 2016 and just kind of fell in love with it and got hooked and been shooting a lot. But yeah, I found out from Scott Satterley that they were going to have this world championship earlier in the year, last year, and so I was definitely interested, knew I wanted to do it, and but Paul Higley and I were the only ones that ended up going over there, and we ended up first and second, so that was pretty cool to have the top of the podium. We unfortunately we didn't have a third team member, and in order to win the team or even compete in the team, you had to have 3 shooters. But I didn't add it up, but a lot of people have told me that apparently our 2 scores would have put us in second place, but we didn't get that because we didn't have enough shooters. So hopefully next time we'll be able to take a full team.
It's pretty impressive though.
Yeah, I think Christine Allen has already volunteered Brian to come as y'all's third.
I texted Brian and I said, you really should have been there, buddy. Anyway, hopefully he's going to come.
Awesome.
I'm sure we'll drum up some more next time to get people to go, more people to go.
Absolutely. I think this was kind of surprised everybody. A lot of people didn't know about it. And so it kind of caught everybody off guard. But man, it was amazing just looking at Facebook, how many people were following this so closely in the shooting community. I didn't know that many people knew about it, but it was awesome to have all of these Americans cheering us on back home.
And right now, that's what's going on in the comment section. I normally read every comment, but there's a million congratulations to all of you. Good job, Team USA. American flags, howdy champs.
All right, and then for our overall champ though, so for the open division, which I believe was the largest division, and if you were to tally up all of the divisions together into one overall winner, our winner for open and overall is Austin Bushman.
Thank
So
you.
you tell us a little bit about you and how you got into shooting and got to be where you are, and who else shot open and how they finished.
All right. Well, I got into shooting at a real young age, shooting BB guns and pellet guns, killing lots of little critters that didn't deserve it. And that continued all the way up through, junior high, high school. I've always lived out in the Texas Panhandle or the Oklahoma Panhandle. And there's not much else to do here except, watch college football on TV or, shoot guns. And I chose shooting guns. So I got into long distance shooting. We have an unlimited supply of prairie dogs out here in this part of the world. And it was a quest to increase my effectiveness in that game. And so I progressed through 17 HMR, 22s and 17 HMR and then 223s. And when I got into college, I got my first, what I would consider like a precision rifle. And I bought my reloading gear at the same time. I thought, I was reading online. I was like, everybody says you got to reload, so I'm going to buy the reloading stuff. And so my first rounds through my precision rifle were also my first reloads. And through college, and the years after, I probably spent 5 or 6 years just where precision rifle was to me just a way to be more effective for prairie dogs and coyote hunting. And I bet I shot 20,000 rounds before I ever even knew that PRS existed at doing those things. And so I already had, at that point, I already had some custom rifles and things like that. So I had a little head start when I first got into PRS. And in 2017 is when I started seeing stuff online about competitions, and I looked them up and found there was one in Amarillo, Texas, which is only about 2-hour drive south of where I live in Oklahoma. So drove down there, attended that match with my brother, and we both did not have a great showing score wise. We both loved it. And I decided, okay, so at my first match ever, I took a 223 Ackley Improved, which is what my favorite cartridge for prairie dogs was. And I did all right with it, but I had a 6.5 by 47 barrel at home. And I was thinking, I'm going home, I'm putting that barrel on, I'm going to learn how to shoot positional, and I'm coming back to their next match. And I think I placed, there's probably only like 25 guys at that match at Amarillo, and some really good shooters in the group, and some great guys that helped me learn, which is what you'll find anywhere in this sport. And from there, I shot a bunch of their one-day matches. I started shooting pretty heavily in PRS 2-day matches in 2018. Went to the finale in 18, 19, and then in 20 and 21, I started having some real success and got some of these guys up here, which was nice. But that's, I guess, and that's also how I qualified for this. For people that don't know, I might go through how we qualified. So in open class, it's pretty strict qualifications to get in. It depended on kind of who applied, but it ended up most of the top qualifiers were also the guys that applied and went. So you had to submit scores of your top matches from the AG Cup, the NRL finale, or the PRS finale. Were pretty well the way the selection went. And so, of the top open shooters, it ended up being myself, Austin Orgain, Clay Blackadder, Morgan King, and Tate Streeter, and then Greg Bell. And I mean, that's an awesome team. It'd be hard to pick a better team than that. Any one of those guys could easily win this. If we held the match 6 times, might have had 6 different winners. But so I feel fortunate. I'm getting a ton of attention, man. But those guys are all good friends, and it was a load of fun having them as teammates, getting to travel with them, and they did. So we also took the top 5 spots. I got the highest score. Morgan King was 1 shot behind me. Tate Streeter was 1 shot behind him in 3rd place. And Clay Blackadder was 1 shot behind Tate in 4th place. And I can't remember what Greg Bell's score was, but he was 5th place. It's so nice to see that happen. I think we all thought it would happen, because of course we're America, we think we're the best. But it was nice that everybody showed up and performed across all our teams, and for us to really to sweep the competitions like that.
That's awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and ask y'all these because I know everybody is going to want to know. So one at a time, and we'll go in the same order we just went, which is just counterclockwise for me, how I'm looking at y'all. We'll go in order. Tell us what caliber you shot. I know limited was 308, but what caliber you shot and kind of the specs of your gun and gear, because everybody always likes to hear what you shot.
So I was shooting 308. We were supposed to have an ammo sponsor for the match. And about 2 or 3 weeks before the match happened, we got notification that the sponsor, and we only heard rumblings on who the sponsor was even going to be, but that they had pulled out. And so a lot of people were starting to worry. I'm big into reloading, so I was a little bit stressed about having to shoot factory ammo. So it was a blessing for me. I went out and did load development right then and had a load ready to go that week because 308, anybody can load for 308. And so I was set. My load components I was shooting were 175 grain Burger OTMs with Hodgdon Barget powder and Lapua Palma 308 brass. My rifle itself was Curtis action with a barrel that was spun up by Masterpiece Arms because I shoot for MPA with the MPA Pro chassis, Pro Matrix chassis, which oddly enough I got the chassis in the mail about a week and a half before, and so I was a little bit nervous taking some new product over there, but it was amazing. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and Eric Cortina for a tuner brake for my brake, and then MPA scope rings with a Night Force Attacker scope. Sorry, I just regurgitated a bunch of information. If that's too much or too little, I'm sorry.
No, that was
that was
perfect.
perfect.
That's what people like to know.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're
I
perfect.
hate going first every time.
I'll change it up next time then.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I guess I'm next, aren't I? All right, so I was shooting a 6BR, and an Impact, the Collis, Ace Brake, Bartland barrel, A-tips with Lapua brass, spur mount, Vixen Andy, KRG, the new C4 with Redbeard paint job. Can't forget that. Yeah, so I think I got everything.
I think we got it.
Yeah, Weiberger hat.
Oh yeah, Whataburger hat, we bad bag.
Right, didn't you get some Whataburger swag?
I did get some Whataburger swag. They sent me a hat and a backpack. I used it all weekend or all week. And they sent me
That
like a journal. I used a journal at school today. So
That's
That is-
awesome. Did you like write him a message on Facebook or how do you manage
my
to-
mom met one of the guys, one of the marketing guys, like at one of the Fort Worth stores, and told him about this world championship, and he was like, "Oh, I'll send her some stuff." Like, so I need to send him some pictures with my Whataburger stuff.
You do that would be awesome.
So I didn't know we were talking about bags too. We did get the sweet Weebad Team USA bags as well. Those were pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, and then I gave I left one with the only junior at the match. So
That's
was-
awesome.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
I was going to leave mine, but being the resident College Station, Texas native, which is where Weebad is located, I felt obligated to bring it back to give it to them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. All right, Rusty, you're up.
Okay, well, I was shooting a 6-dasher with an impact action, proof barrel, chambered by Access Works, in an MPA Matrix Pro chassis, and tangent theta scope, Hawkins tactical rings, Access Works enabler brake, Trigger Tech trigger, Lapua brass, Burger 105 hybrid. That's pretty much the whole rundown on that, which is what I run on every map. So
Run what you brung, right?
yep.
All right. And Austin, how about you?
Well, like Rusty just said, it was real easy because just for open class, you just bring what you normally bring. The only thing I had to change was bringing 10-round mags instead of 12-round mags. So I normally run a 6-dasher, 105 hybrid, Burger hybrids, and Alpha brass. My rifle is impact action, the foundation stock. I chamber my own barrels, and I prefer Bartline barrels. That's what I was using. An Ace muzzle brake, Hawkins bottom metal, Vixen Andy trigger, and use a Night Force scope.
Sounds like you're from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Barely.
So I have to ask Peyton, are you like a hero at school now? You went back to school?
Basically, yeah. We met with my college professors, and one of my friends, she told us to introduce ourselves and like say like something cool about us. And I was like, I do precision rifle shooting. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. And then one of my friends piped in, she's like, yeah, she's a world champion. She just went to France. And I was like, oh my goodness. You're kidding me. That's so cool. And yeah, I got a lot of congratulations and everything. So that was really awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Greg, did you have a question from Prentice?
I did.
I'm gone.
Peyton, I was wondering, what is cooler, a world champion trophy or a belt buckle from TX Precision, Texas Precision?
I don't have a belt buckle, so I know the answer to that one.
Hey, here's belt buckle from Clay's Cartridge Company is cooler.
Don't have one of those either. We all know why.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it.
Just so you know, it was about 4.5 seconds after we posted the show. Actually, no, it might have been before we even said officially you were going to be on the show that he called and said, I have a question when you have the winners on the show.
Not surprised.
Are bell bottom jeans a cool thing again? I noticed that on the podium.
Yeah, I like them. And actually, yeah, me and Laurel had them. She wears them like every day. That's very her. I mean, I like them, but I'm probably a poser.
They seem a lot easier to move in than the whole.
Yeah. They're real flowy. I like them a lot.
Yep.
So before we get into talking too much about the match, there's another MVP that is not on the show that we probably arguably could have put on the show. Like the Brady Bunch right in the middle or something. So Angela Zane apparently was like the team mom that helped keep everybody together and gave y'all all the information up front. And so I know there's a lot of kudos to go to Angela, but I believe she failed y'all in one thing that she and it's kind of a wheelhouse. So we're a little confused, Angela, how you missed this. So who wants to tell us about the one thing that Angela forgot to tell y'all?
It's my fault that this is being brought up. So sorry, Angela. It's just a joke. Thank you, by the way. Angela put together a whole list and sent it out to the whole team on all the paperwork we needed and like a checklist of everything. Made it very easy for us. So thank you for all that hard work. However, I didn't find out about the speed cameras in France. On all their roads, they have speed cameras and they don't really enforce anything with actual police until like 3 days into the trip. Somebody mentioned the speed cameras and that was too late because I'm still getting emails from the French, whatever, Federation of Traffic. So
it was about like 3 tickets too late, right?
I didn't say anything because Austin won the world championship, but it was actually his fault that I got all these speed tickets. Because when I very first landed in France, we're on this group text. And I get this group text about how Austin was able to get his car up to 170 kilometers per hour and asking if anybody was able to top that. And so I'm a competitor, so I had to try. And so the whole way from Paris to beach, all I was doing was trying to top 170 kilometers per hour. Every downhill slope was, how fast can we go? So thanks, Austin.
Took the most competitive people in precision rifle and gave them a challenge.
Yeah.
One ticket, I think it was like 30 euros so far. But
we'll give it another couple of weeks, then I'll text one of you guys to text in your group chat, see who has the many, so we can have another world champion for Team USA. Most tickets in France.
I started wearing sunglasses every time I drove just to help with all the flashes.
You guys driving around thinking you're celebrities, like, oh yeah, take my
yeah, it's like, wow, they really do have strict gun laws over here, monitoring us the whole time.
Wow.
So let's talk about kind of the feel of this match. Like, what does it feel like competing in this match? Is this like, obviously it's a lot more than shooting a regional series. Do we put this like on the level of the AG Cup, the PRS finale, or something way above, beyond, or different?
I don't think that this felt like the AG Cup, and I don't think it felt like the PRS finale. And my reasons for saying that, PRS finale, you're in a squad with the guys ranked right there with you, and you know everybody there, and that's a totally different feel. The AG Cup, a very limited number of shooters. It's a small match, so it doesn't feel the same. And to me, I'll let the other guys answer after, but to me, this felt a lot like a regular 2-day match, except for the language barriers. I mean, everything was very similar to matches I've shot in the US.
Yeah, I thought it was very laid back. It was people helping people the whole time and just communicating and talking about stories about back home. It was super laid back and chilled.
Yeah, I had no idea that so many people would speak English over there. I know that everybody says they do, but and almost everybody at the match spoke English. There were a
Yeah.
few that didn't speak it very well, but you could talk to everybody in your squad. And I didn't have one person in my squad that was from the same country. Everybody was from a different country. And so at first, it's like me flying from the West Coast back to the East Coast, and I don't know anybody. But and I didn't know if it was against the rules to share wind, or we usually do that in these PR matches here at home. But nobody was talking wind, nobody knew each other. And about noon, I walked off the line and one guy asked me for my wind call. And man, after that, we were all buddies and we were sharing wind calls and cheering each other. I don't know. It felt just like back home.
Yeah, mine felt the same. I mean, we had like a 2-hour lunch break or so it kind of went by pretty slow, but it really just felt normal, and it was awesome. My squad was really great. They were all acting like they all had met like the same time, and they all acted like best friends. I was like, this is so cool. And they messed with me and they gave me a hard time the whole time, and I was like, this is awesome. This is just like back home.
So the really cool thing about European shooting culture is they like to praise you anytime something good happens. So anytime you come off and you have a good stage, it doesn't matter what country you're from, everybody stops what they're doing and they start clapping for you. It was phenomenal. I was telling them, if you did the PRS match here, you'd probably get your butt kicked back behind camera. But it was everybody genuinely wanted everybody to shoot good and have a good time. It was awesome.
The first time someone like cleaned a stage, they clapped, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're doing that. And it happened after I did good on a stage, and it's like, oh, so it's not just cleans. It's like, if you do good on a stage, they clap for you. I'm like, this is great.
We could probably take lessons from that here in the US. And more encouraging to each other, honestly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Although I think the PRS, I think everybody is pretty encouraging, but I just mean in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like we've kind of met our overseas family at this match, where it's a bunch of people that are like us. They just live someplace else.
Yeah,
for sure. You could plug any one of those people in on this podcast and they'd be saying the same exact thing that we're saying, just maybe a different accent.
So to back things up a little bit, back to the competitive thing, Leon Weatherby said 193 kilometers an hour. I think he won.
What?
Man,
He said he has the
there is no way my rental car would have gone that fast.
No, my van started shaking at about 158 or 159.
Yeah, Leon, we need to know what kind of car it was you rented.
Also, guys, Prentice Wink said hello to all of us.
Hey, Prentice.
Hi, Prentice.
I'll call you tomorrow.
You never called me back. Oh, he said he went to the Autobahn and a Kia Exceed.
A Kia went 193 and it didn't disintegrate?
That's scary.
A Kia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kia. That's how you spell Kia, right?
Yeah.
That's probably like 125 in miles per hour. That's pretty fast.
193 KM82. 119.925.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the language. How much of a barrier was the language? And I will say, don't go to China because nobody over there speaks English. It isn't like some of these countries that like they don't speak it there. But I know a lot of the people did speak English there. And I know I've been on some of the meetings with the board that got this ready, and most people had pretty good English actually. surprisingly. But was it a barrier at all with communicating with ROs? Figured out where to go, during the match as well as outside the match?
It really wasn't. All of the ROs, all of the instructions for all of the stages were all given in English. They didn't give them in any other language. So everybody must have understood English. That's the only language they gave them in. And I don't know if there were other match books that were in other languages, but ours were all in English. And their English was a little bit difficult to understand just because it was some of them had quite an accent. But yeah, almost everybody spoke English.
Yeah.
Did you guys run into, generally people are scared to fly like across the United States with a gun? Did you guys run into any logistical issues flying, around the world with your guns or anything like that?
So all of my issues came with flying in and out of the United States. Flying my rifle out of the United States and back in was much more difficult than it was getting it in and out of France. Whenever I flew out of Dallas, and when I flew out of Dallas and they found out I was going to France and taking a rifle, it took about 30 minutes for me to convince them that I was allowed to take a rifle to France. And they kept assuring me that they weren't worried about themselves. They were worried about what was going to happen to me when I got there. And of course, because of Angela, thank you, Angela, I had all the proper documentation and whatnot. And so I kept showing them this and why I was allowed to take it. And they could not wrap their head around it. So I finally had to convince them that if I got there and I was arrested once I got there, that was on me. I wouldn't hold American Airlines responsible or anything like that. And that was it. But once I got to France, my rifle was just sitting on the ground there. I had to beg somebody from customs to open up the case and look at it, and they kicked me out of there. And when I came back, the same thing. I had to basically ask them to pay attention to my rifle to get on the airplane. They literally didn't care. Super easy.
That sounds about right. American Airlines being the pain in the butt out of everything.
Yes, and coming back the same way, they put my passport in like these sealed cases so that I couldn't escape without going through a certain customs line for them to review my documentation. And they were questioning my documentation whenever I came back, but then they asked how Team USA did, not explain to them how the match results went, and they just let me go after that. They were so excited. So it worked out fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Clayton
how?
Porter,
Oh, go ahead.
Clayton Porter said, guys, don't forget to change your kestrels back to yards before you shoot again.
I just shot a match, so I'm good.
So did you like land and go straight to the match, or do you like?
No, we had a whole week, so we just got everything, put it back together, and drove out Friday night. So yeah, Mississippi.
So Austin, that beautiful trophy that is in the picture you holding up in France, did you fly home with that?
Actually, Buck Hawley and Greg Bell volunteered to get that back for me. So I haven't seen it since the awards. I'm assuming it still exists. Rumor has it Buck Hawley is in possession of the trophy. So no
You
telling.
looked up gullible in the dictionary and what the heck?
No telling what's going on with that trophy right now, but I've got, so I did get my little these little crystal trophies they sent back with us. So I got those through in my carry-on, but the big trophy, they had a fitted suitcase for it, and our team trophy for open class was also huge. And I think, as far as I know, Buck's got both of those back in Georgia.
Leave it to limited class to do all the heavy lifting around here.
Yes.
You may never see that trophy again.
I know. It's so the both of those trophies, the big cup looking thing for the team and the spiral bullet thing for the world champion, or traveling trophies. So they expect me to bring those to South Africa in a couple of years. I may hang on to it. I don't know. I mean, how are they going to make me?
I was about to ask, was it a trophy that they put names on and it travels, or is it yours?
It's supposed to be engraved with the year and the name, and then it travels. So South Africa 2024, somebody else might win it.
You had a boating accident, didn't you?
As long as it stays in the United States.
So Jose wants to know, why is Coulter the real Bob Lee swagger?
Oh, So we had a match back at Anderson Outlaw Match probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and of course, everybody that's ever shot competitively watches the movie Shooter and likes it. And so Aaron Roberts was match directing the match, and his very first stage was everybody stood in line, and whenever your time was up, you had to run up this hill, acquire a target that was 1,000 yards away. And you had no idea what the target was or anything like that until you got up the hill. Make your wind call and get a cold bore shot off. And it turned out the target was a Dinty Moore soup can, like Bob Lee Swagger shot in Shooter. And so I'm up there with a 223 and have no business hitting a soup can cold bore at Grand, but just happened to guess right, or God was on my side that day or what. But I shoot and I hit the soup can, it flies up about 3 feet in the air like the movie did. So became pretty popular after that, but pure luck.
That is hilarious.
Thanks, Jose.
You got another question live? Any other lives, Greg?
Brandon asked about the limitations to the production class equipment, but Leon answered him over there that it's basically the same thing. It has to be a factory.
Yeah, they need to make some modifications to production class before 2024 happens. The trigger assembly didn't really make much sense in the rule book.
Yeah, that I think there was a lot of stuff to learn about that class for this year.
Yeah.
We're about at the midpoint of the show. Remember, if you're watching us live on Facebook, ask any questions you may have here in the comments, and we'll ask them live on air. Other ways to catch us, you can always check back on the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page. The videos will stay up here forever. We usually upload all the podcasts the night after the show, so we'll be on all the different podcast apps, your Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, all that good stuff. And then finally, everything eventually ends up on the Shooter's Mindset YouTube page, so that's a great place to look up past episodes. So how did it feel to be on a national team? Did it add a whole new dynamic to be cheering on your teammates? And was there a lot of competition between you guys, or was it just awesome to see somebody wearing those super awesome looking Team USA jerseys winning?
I thought it was awesome. It was really fun to shoot with girls my age, which is, I think that was really cool that we had brought 3 teenage girls and won it all. But it was really awesome to have teammates, because that's something that it's not very common, because you're always shooting, like you have like teammates, like sponsor teammates, but they're not like team teammates, you know. But that was really cool. We had some friendly competition because we were obviously shooting for the team together, but then we had that day 2 where we had to kind of shoot for ourselves, so that was cool.
I always think it would be neat, like golf is an individual sport, but they do the different cups that are teams. And I always thought, even here in the US, it would be cool. I know they've done some border wars, different things, you know, and I think like Michigan and Wisconsin does some competitions, you know, where they're kind of in teams. But I think it'd be cool if somebody did a match where it was like teams of 4, you know, from, you know, whether you want to do per state or per region, and have them go head to head. I think it'd be fun. Austin's just smiling because he's like, bring it.
So I was going to say, as far as the team aspect, I don't think so. For the open team, I don't think we had any doubts we could win it. There wasn't so much of a team aspect. Like I've shot some team matches where you could help your teammates. So the team aspect was they just took the top 4 scores from open. So we cheered each other on, but if you know anything about the guys at the top of the open class, you know that we're ultra competitive. And so there was certainly some wanting to beat each other going on. And not that anybody behaved in any way that, you know, was different, but we all wanted to win real bad. I can tell you that. And so there was that aspect of it. I know that we were tracking each other's scores pretty close, and the live scoring made that possible, which was a cool aspect of the match. But we weren't cheering against our open class teammates. but we all wanted to have the highest score at the end of the day, for sure.
One thing about, well, I was on the seniors and we got to shoot the first day, and then the open and the ladies shot the second day. And so some of these stages were things we haven't done before, and we're all talking about it going, how should we shoot that? And so one really cool thing was on the second day I came and I was able to talk to some of the ladies and some of the open guys and say, hey, maybe you want to think about doing this way. This worked really well, or don't do it this way. That didn't work. And so in that aspect, it was definitely a USA team effort. But I tell you what, by the fourth day, I knew so many, I had made so many friends from the other countries. I was doing the same thing with them. I mean, the Norwegians, the Swedes, the Brits. I'm like, hey, don't be careful of this. And so, yeah, it was definitely a team, but it pretty much by the end just felt like a regular PRS match back here in the States.
Yeah, and to add to what Rusty was talking about, for the days the open class wasn't shooting and the ladies weren't shooting, they were cheering us on the whole time. Greg Bell was bringing me breakfast and asking me what he could do, and he was having some sort of health issues out there, but none of that mattered because all it was about was him trying to help the shooters that were shooting at that time. It was awesome. I loved it.
The best aspect of the team deal was I went both days whenever limited and seniors were shooting, and that was the most fun because there was no competitive aspect to it. I just got to cheer on my Team USA guys, and it was fun walking up and down the line looking for Team USA jerseys and all my friends. Here you're in this crowd of people that don't hardly speak English, and you could find your friends from back in the United States and cheer them on and just listen to their stories about how the stages went. And that was a ton of fun because that was purely cheering your teammates on without having to worry about beating any of them.
Sure, you were the first teammate to text message me whenever I won. So,
how did you guys like the format of it was senior and limited, and then open and ladies? So senior and limited shot one day, then open and ladies, and then swap back again. Did you guys like this format where you were able to be there and kind of cheer on your team or pit crew for your team or whatever?
I liked it. I liked shooting the limited class. Obviously didn't have the prestige of the open class, so I liked being able to see these guys and say, hey, I didn't shoot this stage as well, this is what I would have done different, or this stage was great, this is what I did, this is why I did it, and this worked out perfect. I like that because it allowed me to feel like I was part of the rest of the team, even on days when I wasn't shooting. So
it was super fun being able to watch the rest of the teammates do it. But I think we're all super competitive, and I was kind of wishing that I could shoot on the same day as the open just so we could have all the same conditions. And there's always that aspect to it. I mean, I wasn't really competing against the seniors. I was competing against the open. They kicked my butt, but I was still competing against them.
I liked everything about it being on separate days, except for it did draw out the time and money investment part of this match. And it was a big, but more than the money, it was a big time investment because they had registration day and then 0 day, and then the first day of shooting, and then 4 days of shooting, and then awards the next day. I mean, so I was in France for 10 days and didn't really plan on doing much besides shoot the match. And so it was a huge investment of time off from work and money and lodging and travel. And I think that to respect some of the competitors' time and investment, you might want to consider in the future having it done more like a US match where it's pretty succinct in the time frame.
And I think I get why they planned that. I think that they thought it could have been a much bigger event. And if they had 500 shooters, which could have easily happened, there's just no way they could do it in 2 days. So I get that they did it like that. And I'm sure that's the way they're going to do it in South Africa, just because they're going to need to.
Yeah.
And,
I think the next one will be bigger, and they would have to. And these venues are not like K&M. They are not there's no way they could have run 400 people through in a day.
No, we could.
No, we didn't get done till 7:30 at night the first day.
And yeah, you talk about that time. We were over there for 10 days. I think I was gone for 11 days. And I had the NRL Hunter Championship just this last weekend. So yeah, that was only had about 4 days to prepare for that between them. So
Congrats, by the way.
oh, thanks. It's been a busy couple of months.
So in the preparation for this match, we've had the IPRF on a few times, Rob Ramsden and Marcus Olson, Pierre. We've had multiple people on from other countries that were kind of spearheading this and getting it going, and kind of why they wanted to do it and all that. So through talking with them, we heard a lot about how fortunate the US is, right? That we have easy access to guns. We can own them easily. It's not a process. I know people here think it's a process, but compared to overseas, it's not a process as bad. So what are some of the things that you, in talking to some of the other competitors, did y'all hear any of the things that they encounter and they have to deal with and overcome to be able to have guns? And
The worst one I heard of, and I think this was Mario from Italy that told me this, is that that reloading is outlawed. They cannot hand load their ammo. And
wow.
that might not have been Italy. I might have that wrong, but at least one competitor told me that. And then on top of that, a lot of those guys that did shoot factory ammo were shooting factory ammo that came from the US, if they could, because a lot of the US manufacturers make the best factory ammo and the most plentiful supply in particular cartridges like 6.5 Creedmoor. So those cartridges in those countries are even more at a supply shortage than what we had in the US in the last couple of years. And they're if we're spending $2 a round on factory ammo, they're probably spending $8 a round on the ammo, the equivalent in their currency.
And it's not just guns and ammo. It's every piece of equipment that we use. I mean, they have in Europe, they have a 25% fee just to bring it into the country, importation fee. And in South Africa, it's 40%. So everything they buy is really expensive, but even then they don't have access to get it. And a lot of the guys sold almost everything they had. I think Morgan came home in his underwear. He had a barreled action. I think that's about it.
Wow.
I know Buck Hawley sold his gun off to like 6 different people, he said.
That's crazy. I know we're very, very fortunate here. People don't
It's
realize.
just, yeah, it's just little things that we take for granted. Like even our shooting bags, the way they have to do is they get, we'll make a bag and just send it over there blank to them because shipping's so crazy. And then they'll fill it up with whatever kind of fill they have there in South Africa or whatever country it's in. Well, we've all figured out how important the right fill is and the amount of fill and everything like that. And they're just taking a funnel and filling it up to where it feels right with whatever material they happen to have. So just no comparison.
So how do you think that the US can help? A big part of this match is trying to help those countries. I know a lot of the countries can't even own guns unless they are in a sport that has a federation, and that country, to have a federation for the sport, they have to be part of an international federation. So a lot of this was, to meet some of the requirements so that these countries can continue to have precision rifles. So is there anything y'all can think of after talking to them and seeing it that we can do to help grow the sport in those countries?
I think just us getting a chance to shoot with them and them getting to see what's possible with what gear is going to help them kind of focus a little bit their resources on what they need to use. I saw a lot of gear that they did have. They had some nice gear. A lot of countries had some top quality stuff they brought, but a lot of it that they had probably wasn't that necessary for them to shoot high scores. I think they may, if they paid attention, they probably learned that to some extent. I think they got to see what gear we had that was required to shoot the high scores. And I think that, you know, if they want to emulate that, it'll at least help them focus their efforts. It doesn't help them anyway politically with laws or anything like that. But I think if they have limited resources and they wanted to, you know, get an idea of how to compete the way we do, then they got a really good idea just by being there. We spent a ton of time with them, answered as many questions as we could. I let them borrow every piece of gear I had except my rifle to shoot the matches, and that made it more fun actually, just being friends with them. But I thought they also shot way better on the second day. I think the only way I can think of that we really helped them during this match is by just sharing our knowledge with them, and that, you know, we've got to compete a lot more than they have, and we shared a lot of that with them.
Well, I know even some of the guys that are helping plan it from other countries that I said I've gotten to talk to, some of them were just like, send us videos. Can your channel just send us some of the match videos? We need match videos, because they don't, you know, we are blessed here because we have a large community, and we have a large community of people that, you know, communicate and say like, oh, if you're going to put this target at this yardage, it should probably be this big. Or if you've got this much wind, you probably need to make the target a little bigger, you know. So for them to even know how to build the stages, you know, at what distance, what size is reasonable, what kind of positional, how long to do it. And so they're just hungry, wanting to see match videos so that they can try and figure out, you know, in match books, and try and figure out what's a reasonable match to build their stages. So I just think it's one thing.
You off.
Go ahead.
I got asked like 10 times while I was spinning my Kestrel. And I was like, that's a big one that I got asked. And I was like, it's just to get my updated weather. They're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't learn it till not too long ago, but I'm glad I get to share that with you, because everyone's probably confused. Like, what is she doing? Like, she does this like every stage. Like, I'm confused.
And then shooting in the US, like the first match that I even went to, I was like, you know, it was before I even owned a precision rifle. I'm like, why do I got to spin the little calculator thingy in circles?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's really wild to see, and probably like the, you know, doing the show for so long, you know, we get to do a lot of cool things. We get to talk to a lot of cool people, but probably one of the coolest things is when we had a bunch of the guys from the IPRF on, and they're like, oh, you know, we reference your coverage of the AG Cup to build our matches. And I'm like around the world, people are watching the videos that we take at AG Cup to design matches. And that's just like really cool that, you know, we're kind of the hub of precision rifle for the world. How was the US team received when you guys showed up, both by and I guess we've kind of talked about this, by the people at the match, but then also with the local French people? What's their reactions to, oh, you know, you flew here from America with your guns to shoot stuff?
We were celebrities at the match. Everyone wanted pictures with Team USA.
Yeah, I felt like everybody started off a little bit shy, but 2 or 3 stages in, everybody was talking and having fun, and like I said, clapping every time you did good. It was awesome. I still keep up with a bunch of them, even though we're back.
I was going to ask if y'all got a bunch of numbers exchanged.
I started talking trash to the guys in my squad before the first stage even started, so I broke them in quick.
There were some nice locals and there were some not so nice locals. Like when we would like in beach, like there was a huge language barrier. So every restaurant we had to pull out Google Translate and translate the menu, trying to talk to the server ladies who are like, what? So that was a bit difficult. And then there's people that are the servers at like the restaurants in like Paris are like, what do you want? Like, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, my first experience with people was at the Paris rental car place at the Paris airport, and I did not have a good perception of France for about the first 4 hours of getting my rental car. And then as soon as you got out of the Paris rental car, everybody was super friendly, and I got along great with everybody.
That's fun. It's always interesting going to another country, and yeah, going with guns is definitely different. So the course of fire, I think everybody probably wants to hear this question as much as y'all can remember, and tell us, like, what was it like? I know y'all said it was kind of like regular ones, but like, was it very positional? Was it a lot of on your belly? You know, what kind of was the farthest distance? Tell us a little bit about the course of fire itself.
So I'll try to answer some of those, and I'll let the other guys fill in some specifics. So the furthest distance was 900 meters, which is 990 yards. So pretty normal stuff. From my point of view, there was a lot of positional, maybe 2/3 positional or more, and a lot of movement in most of the stages. A lot of different props to shoot off of, tires, bunkers, tank traps, rooftops, a lot of tripod stage where you had to shoot off a tripod. I mean, very similar stuff to what we have here, but positional heavy. Time limits were 90 seconds on everything. So those aspects of it were very similar. I do think that they tried to model this very much after the matches we have in the US. There
Was there
was
anything you've never seen?
no, I would say there wasn't anything I'd never seen.
Tank.
Yeah.
Oh, we shot out of a tank.
Yeah,
That's
that was
kinda
pretty
cool.
cool. That was really cool.
Well, I didn't think there were any gimme stages. I felt like every stage was thought out to try to challenge you in a different way.
There was a lot of hit to move on.
Yeah.
Especially on the tall ones.
Those 90 seconds went quick.
Oh yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
have shot out the tank before, so that was kind of cool. I did it in Vegas years ago. We shot out of a tank, so there wasn't really anything I didn't see. But you know, if any, I think all of us watched a lot of videos from the European Championship that they held a couple of months before, and man, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of rickety props that they used in those, and so I was afraid it was going to be some props that, you know, maybe we used back in 2013, 2014, ropes hanging, you know, and all kinds of stuff that was hard to get stable on. But no, everything you could get stable on everything. It was, I think they did a really good job.
But the match certainly was not too easy. So my score figures out to somewhere around a 91% for the match, which is very similar to the matches we shoot in the US. So I believe they made this match much more difficult than what the international shooters probably were expecting, so that I think that they probably geared it towards what they thought the US shooters could do, and that worked out. Because it could have gone where they made it very easy, and the international shooters would have shot a lot higher scores, but then, you know, the scores would have been really bunched up at the top, and I think it worked out well. In my opinion, it was very well done course of fire for the venue and for the occasion.
That's fun. It's always interesting. We had a live question, Greg, that was about course of fire we were going to hit.
Oh, Eric asked about the terrain there. Was it open or more of a mix? As far as like what's downrange, was it just like a big empty field, or?
It was totally open. It was a big empty field with tall weeds, so you couldn't see where you were missing.
Oh, nice. That always makes for fun.
No
Yeah,
back
Targets in the shade.
And the targets were small. Yeah, there were a couple in the shade that were hard to see the background when you'd miss.
And it was a headwind all 4 days, but all shots were in the same direction.
Yeah,
What-
I've
Go ahead.
heard a lot about this headwind at this match. Like from like, I'm pretty sure on 0 day someone was like, "Oh, there's a headwind," and I don't think it stopped until the end.
I felt bad for the y'all limited and seniors that shot on that day too. Oh, that was some rough wind. We went out there and I was like, please stop for tomorrow. This is so bad.
Yes.
I would literally time out, just look at mirage in between shots to try to figure out if it shifted from left, right to left.
Day 2 for limited was by far the worst wind that anybody had to shoot at. Limited and seniors, and then thank goodness day 2 for open and ladies, I think, was a little bit easier than that.
Yeah, it was more like our day 1.
That's crazy. All right, so each of you need to answer this, and Coulter's not going first.
Thank you.
What was your favorite stage? Tell us a little bit about your favorite stage.
Who's going
Guys,
first?
Listen, I
girls.
vote for Peyton. She's been quiet.
Oh, what? I was gonna
I'll
say
go
the
first.
tank, but that was just kind of just because I've never shot off of anything like that. And it was my first day of school picture too, because I missed the first 2 days of school. And the day I shot off the tank, that was my first stage, and it was my first day of school, senior year. So that was pretty cool.
That's a great reason for it to be your favorite stage.
They had one stage. Actually, they rolled one stage into two stages. It was a 20 round stage, and instead of 90 seconds, they gave us 3 minutes. That really created a time crunch on that. But I think that was my favorite stage because it was 20 shots in 3 minutes from, man, I don't know how many positions, but you had to really rock and roll through that. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that stage. I don't think they should have done it like that, but I think it was
two target distances. Yeah.
That was that like rock castle looking thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it stopped up the whole day.
But it looked super fun, and it was Rusty's favorite stage. So
Yeah.
And he shot really well.
It made for a mandatory mag change, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Austin, what's your favorite?
I'm going to tell you my least favorite because Rusty took my favorite. They had these two horrible bunkers that were tiny. The windows were too small to get my bag in right. I'm usually pretty flexible, and however I tried to crawl in there was the wrong way. And I shot a 4. So I was clean on the first day. I was clean through the first 7 stages. Hadn't missed a shot. And this was my 8th stage, and I dropped 4 out of 8 on that stage. So went from clean on the day to 4 down in a hurry. And then I don't know if anybody cleaned that for the whole match. Austin Orgain shot a 7. I didn't even get to watch him shoot that. I watched Tate Streeter. This is probably what makes it my favorite stage, if it had to be my favorite. Tate Streeter shot in front of me the whole time. And so while I was waiting, trying to figure out how I was going to crawl in and out of these bunkers, I watched Tate. For those of you guys that don't know, he's like 6 inches taller than me and probably 80 pounds heavier. And he went in there so fast. He got all of his 8 shots off, which I didn't see anybody else do that. I don't know how he did that. And I only got 6 shots off, and I missed 2 of them. And I think Tate either got a 6 or a 7, but I don't know how he did that. And it was a horrible stage for me, but I'll remember that one. I won't remember any of the ones I cleaned.
Coulter.
So probably the castle stage, like Rusty was saying, or on day 2, there was one where you were shooting off of these big wine barrels. So between castles and wine barrels being in France, I felt like it was fitting. So I enjoyed both of those.
Dude, I like wine.
Yeah, it was good.
That's pretty funny.
Leon
It's
said
all
it was
fair.
9 positions on that 20 round stage.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. You had to shoot the 5th position and then do a mag change and then shoot the 5th position again, 2 shots from
Yeah, it was near far for each position. So it was a bunch of
funny,
movement.
funny story real quick on that stage. That was our first stage of the day. That was the first stage I shot of the whole match. And the South African guy, Garth, he'll probably watch this. He was going up right before me, and we asked him, like, what score do you think you're going to get? And he said, I'm going to get a 20. And I jokingly said, there's nobody in South Africa good enough to get a 20 on this stage. and Garth went and proved me wrong. He got a 20. So props, Garth.
All right. Oh,
You did start off fresh.
That's awesome.
So how did y'all enjoy being in a squad with nobody from the same country as you?
I thought it was awesome. It was really fun. Like, obviously at first we all wanted to be like at least with someone we knew, and we were kind of disappointed when we got there, but then it ended up being really fun because you got to meet a whole new realm of people and mess around with brand new people from all around the world and get to listen to them talk and their stories and everything. So that I thought it was really fun and cool.
I agree 100%. Just getting to experience 10 different cultures or however many people were in the squad. It was perfect how they did it.
Yep. I had a great experience with the international guys. They were awesome to shoot with. They spoke surprisingly good English for the most part, and they cheered us on, clapped every time I cleaned the stage. It was an awesome feeling. So that was nice.
Some of the
Now,
most fun matches I've ever done are ones where I just did not squad with anybody I knew. Either I missed squatting and then just got thrown on, or I went to a match that was not in my region and I didn't know anybody and I just jumped on a squad and I ended up having the best time, I think.
Yeah, that is one of the fun, like that's probably one of my favorite things about the precision rifle community is like at the end of the match, you're almost guaranteed to have a new friend, especially if you end up with people you've never met before. So I have a question. Do you guys think that the US should adopt that whole sports coat at the award ceremony thing? Because I thought that was
Well, I was wearing flip-flops and shorts, so I'm probably not the right person to ask about that one.
We couldn't even get Morgan to wear his jersey, so to even shoot the match. So I don't even know if we would have gotten him to wear a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was way too hot for a jacket.
It was. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, that'd be hot. That'd be miserable.
Well, one good thing about having it in South Africa is it's their winter. So when they have it in 2 years in the summer, it'll be very pleasant down there. So looking forward to that.
That's true. That will be.
I was
Bring it
there.
down next year.
I was in South Africa 2 weeks before the match. So yeah, it was extremely pleasant.
If there was anything about the match that you could change, what would it be?
Match flow.
Yeah.
Yep. Took too long.
Yeah, in 2 days worth of zeroing before the match ever even started.
On the first day of shooting at 5 o'clock in the evening, I had only shot 5 stages and I had 5 to go. And 2 of those included the 20 round stage. So once I did get to that, it went a little faster, but I was afraid it was going to get dark before we got done.
Yeah, I wondered about that because somebody posted, I knew y'all were what, 6 hours off of us?
7. Yeah.
And somebody posted and I was like,
yeah, 6 for you. Yeah.
yeah, for me it was 6.
Yeah, sorry.
Somebody posted something about, I guess I was looking at scores and I was like, dude, they're either way behind on posted scores or they're not done. And that's crazy looking at what time it is. So I was worried too. We're going to have daylight.
Yeah, they do the live updates well. It was amazing how up to date everything was for scores.
That's the one thing takeaway from me that it would be awesome if the US matches could figure that scoring system out. It was just a website that anybody could go to on their phone and just pull up the scores, and it was quick. Like I'd watch somebody down the way finish a stage, walk off the stage, and 2 minutes later I could look at their score.
That's cool. I don't know what it was they were using.
It can be done with practice score. If we did it a similar way that we do AG Cup, just hit post to you can update the results live.
I'm sure you'd have to have all of your iPads with a data plan, might be the hang up.
Well,
that's what I'm about to say.
You could still import it into one cell phone.
Yeah.
They were doing the scoring on their cell phone. I don't know how they were doing it, but I think those were cell phones that they were using, at least a lot of the ROs. And so I would imagine that you have to have service, which I guess back east, you guys probably don't have that. A lot of our matches out west, we don't have service where we're shooting, but that's one limitation. But it would be awesome if we could get that scoring system, that live scoring system out to the US.
So the other thing that's cool is they took way too long for the lunches. Lunches were like an hour and a half or 2 hours. But the cool thing about it was these food trucks they brought in were absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best food I had while I was there. And for the spectators, they had another truck that was a champagne truck, and you could get glasses of champagne and watch people shoot. So it was neat.
That's pretty cool.
Hey, someone text Tom and tell him we need a champagne truck for AG Cup.
That would be dangerous.
They
That is
should
probably the last thing we need.
I think we
It's
need
like
it.
lunch breaks normally too, like all the like the shops and everything closed down for lunch. So when we're like before we were gonna go spectate, we were trying to go to the store and beach and you couldn't because it's not open because they're going to lunch the same time you're trying to do stuff. So I thought it was a little bit of a tough situation.
That would be so confusing. That would be like half of my shopping if stores closed at lunchtime.
Mhm.
So who all has already started planning their trip for South Africa in 2024? And for those of you listening, the next IPRF Center Fire World Championship is going to be in South Africa in 2024.
I still have to finish getting caught up on my work emails.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about it. The France trip was it was tons of fun, awesome experience. It was stressful and it was really long. And I'm glad to be back. And also qualifications, not a guarantee. The US qualifications are very difficult. I'd say Rusty's guaranteed in the senior category.
There's a lot of shooters out there, a lot of good senior shooters out there that didn't come to this. So I'm looking forward to some of those other guys applying and coming next time.
And-
I think we could have a strong senior team if those guys would get off their rocking chairs, guys. Come on.
Yeah, don't name names. Bill Allison, Phil Cashin.
For those that want to compete in the open class, this is how difficult it is. You basically have to average being in the top 6 for 3 years straight to be one of the guys that goes, which it seems like incredibly difficult.
We're trying to
I know
figure
it was funny leading up to it. Everybody was trying to figure out if they were going to make it. I won't say who, but I had one person that called me wanting to know if I knew scores from a such and such match. That's not a PRS match, so it wasn't as easy to find. And he was trying to figure out where he was going to fall. Apparently he was doing a spreadsheet, not only for him, for probably all. Austin, you were probably in on that spreadsheet. They were trying to figure out who was going to possibly qualify, and it was interesting, all the jockeying for position and everybody trying to figure out who could go.
Yeah, I really hope that the IPRF cleans up the qualifications a little bit for production class. It made it really hard for American-made rifles to make it into production class over there. So hopefully they'll change that.
I'm sure that they'll be watching this show when I think it's the middle of the night, mostly over there now. So
Yeah.
We have some qualification matches, some qualifier matches for this. Like all of the other countries, they had qualifier matches to determine who their teams were going to be. We just, I think we kind of got behind the 8 ball on this, and we didn't have any qualifier matches. They just took scores from certain matches and see how you did and stacked you up like that. But hopefully we'll have some kind of qualifier matches that we'll know that we need to go to, and we don't have those things figured out yet, but hopefully we will.
yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's like a AG Cup type deal where it's okay, guys, it's December, so here's the list of 12 matches that you could shoot next year, and we're going to look at your best 3 of them, or something along those lines.
Something, yeah.
It was definitely interesting to see the whole, it was very cool to sit at home and watch the updates and some of the live videos and watch the scores. And I think it really got the buzz kind of going here, which was very cool, I thought.
So not being there, I think I shared more videos on the Shooter's Mindset, videos and pictures and posts and everything. Just, this looks applicable, share.
I had no idea they were doing the whole thing live, and I was shooting my second day, and like halfway through the day, everybody's coming up to me going, "Man, you're killing it." And I'm like, how do you know that? And yeah, that system is awesome.
Definitely something to look at. Greg, are there any more lives?
We are good on the live side.
So the day that the awards, well, the day that it was all decided who was the top of everything, Greg was like, we got to have the winners from each division. Come on, let's have them Tuesday night. And I was like, let's let them get home from France. They're going to be jet lagged. They have probably been in France for at least a week, if not two. They're probably wanting to get home and like, hug their dog and clean their house and, do all the things they haven't been doing. So we decided to wait a week just so y'all could rest up, because I know it was probably exhausting. Oh, and see kids. Hey,
Say hi, kid.
are you proud of Daddy?
Yes,
Did he shoot good?
yes,
How old are you?
5.
5. Are you gonna shoot like Daddy when you get older?
Yes,
That's awesome.
For those of you listening on the podcast, Austin's son just came and joined us.
We saw a little head pop in. Well, if we're good on lives, I think that we can wind it down to shout outs. So we won't make Coulter go first.
Thank you.
How about if we let Rusty go first this time?
Shout outs, huh? Well, the first one's got to be to my wife. I mean, staying home and watching the kids and taking care of the house and everything. She does a lot of that while I shoot, and I sure appreciate that. I hope she knows that. But yeah, I got to shout out to Axis Works. They build all my guns for me and they do awesome. And Proof Barrels, Tate at Impact, and I'm on Team MPA, Hawkins Precision for their rings, and Short Action Precision. They do a lot for me too. So I appreciate all the help that all those guys give me.
That's awesome. How about we go Peyton?
I want to definitely thank my parents for basically getting me everywhere and doing everything for me. And I want to thank Angela Zane, obviously. I know everyone's going to thank her, but she really put everything together. And they were really the reason that I got to be here, because Allison reached out to me before this happened and basically told me that I need to go. So that's how that all came together. And I also want to thank everyone who supports me, Collis, SNS Precision, Redbeard Gunworks, WeBad, Flatline Ops, Impact, KRG, and Modern Day Sniper. Yeah, and all my mentors and everyone who's helped me along the way.
That's right. All right. How about Austin?
All right. I thought of some. All right. 2 awesome companies and awesome friends, Tate Streeter with Impact Actions and John Kyle and Amy Lynn Truitt with Foundation Stocks. Those 2 companies were stepped up and volunteered to help me with travel expenses, and I appreciate that so much. And one other shout out, my good buddy Greg Harris in Kansas just won his first 2-day national PRS match. He's been working really hard on it for the last 3 years, and he just won one in Mississippi. So congrats, Greg.
Woohoo!
Yeah, he was in my squad. He was awesome. I shot before him every time. All weekend. Oh, if that tells you, no, I'm just kidding.
Did he be taken for his win calls?
Yeah, maybe. No, it was mostly straight up, so it didn't really matter, but
But you still can take credit.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, Greg.
He could wear that hat.
Oh yeah. I got another one.
All right. And how about Coulter?
Well, to piggyback off of Peyton, thank you so much to Angela. Like I said, the organization would not have been there without her doing all the legwork and all the heavy lifting and everything. So thanks to that. Thanks to my wife, Bridget, for getting it together. So I was a little bit different from everybody else. I brought 9 family members over there with me and made it a true European vacation because none of us had ever been to Europe before. So we got to see all the sights and enjoy everything. And the family was out there watching me shoot the match. So thanks to all of them, because I know 9-hour plane ride to watch Uncle Coulter shoot probably wasn't the easiest thing to do. And then, thanks to my shooting family, Masterpiece Arms, the rifle they built for me was amazing. Chase Curtis for my action, Weebad for all my gear and whatnot. And thanks to Capstone for sending me out Lapua brass 2 weeks before the match when we found out we had to start reloading for it. The brass was in the mail 2 days after that. Eric Cortina for my tuner break. I wasn't sure what I was going to be getting into going over there to Europe. So having the luxury of knowing that I could tune my rifle on the fly if I needed to was amazing. And then somebody completely unrelated to that is Andy Hawkins with Hawkins Precision. You were the first person to reach out and call me and say congratulations when everything happened. And you've been a friend throughout this whole thing. So thanks to you for everything. That's it.
And then Greg, I usually do you first, and I skipped over because there were so many. I was stressing over who to call on first. So I skipped you. So now you go.
Yep, I have GSL suppressors, my favorite little pew quieter back here. Shooters and sharpshooters with Augusta, our local indoor and outdoor ranges. Always been there. PDC Custom, most beautiful rifle chassis known to man. Shooters World Powder, Hunters HD Gold, Fix It Sticks, and Vortex.
All right. And then I just want to shout out all of y'all for coming on the show and spending like 2 hours of your Tuesday night after you've done all this to represent our country and gone across the world. And I know you're probably behind on work emails still and all of that. So thank you for spending time. I think everybody kind of wanted to hear from our champions and kind of what it was like and what to expect. And I think a lot of people are probably looking forward to 2024 and maybe wanting to try to qualify. So I'm glad to be able to have y'all on here to help share that knowledge. I know somebody mentioned that they got a lot of information about this match from watching this show, and that's nothing to do with me and Greg. That's the people that come on here and are willing to give their time to kind of give their knowledge and express their opinions and all about stuff. So I appreciate y'all all coming on here. And then I just want to thank my husband for letting me do this 2 hours every Tuesday night and tolerating all of that as he has to be quiet in the house. So with that will be a wrap for episode 384. I had to look again because I almost forgot. And we will see everybody next time.